Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Art of Being, a space where we talk about everything spirituality. We talk about the healing journey, we talk about awareness, we talk about consciousness, manifestation. So, if this is something that you're interested in, definitely join us because we'll be talking about all the topics that every single person who's navigating the human experience encounters in their journey. We're talking about doubt today,
Yeah.
right? And I think the reason we're talking about doubt is because you're navigating doubt right
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah.
And we were talking about doubt yesterday, and I was like, that would be such a great topic to dive into, right? Because it's one of those things that a lot of people deal with. Sometimes you're just trying to figure out like what is the right thing to do, right? There's doubt there, and a lot of people think like, okay, if they have doubt, then then it's not the right thing to do. But I think there's just so much more to go into doubt. It's not a black and white where
Yeah.
like if you're feeling doubt, then like don't go that way, right?
Yeah.
So I think because you're navigating that, and I've also navigated doubt like in different situations, and I think because right now that's what you're navigating, I think I want to hear from you, like, you know, how are you experiencing doubt? How is it showing up for you?
I think for me, it's showing up in terms of doubt naturally comes up when we're trying to make choices. Like you're presented either with two choices, three choices, it doesn't matter. And you're trying to decide, do I walk down this path or do I walk down this other path? And then what does that mean for me? And so right now for me it's sort of like I've already made the choice that I need to make and I've made the decision, but then now what I'm dealing with now is, was it the right choice, was it the right decision, and it's kind of like looking back and thinking, was I in the right frame of mind, was I, so looking at all the different factors that could change or alter my future based on this choice that I have made. And so that's what I'm navigating at the moment. But the most comforting thing for me, even when I was like looking it up, is, you know, doubt, it's normal, it's natural. It happens to every single person. I think the most important thing is how do you deal with it? How do you navigate it? And I'm now really trying to look at the positive side of doubt, because if doubt exists, number one, it means that you're having to make a choice, and it's a privilege to be able to be making a choice, because sometimes we're in situations where we're backed in a corner and there are no choices to be made. So that's the number one privilege. And then number two, I guess for me, would be, it's just the wondering of, now that I've made this choice and I'm walking down this path, what if I fail? What if I don't succeed?
The way that I see it, it's like with the decision itself, it's going to put you in a different timeline, right? And that means that even if it's not like a grand thing that you're trying to decide about, like once you make a decision, it puts you in a different timeline.
Absolutely.
And so that timeline means that you're leaving your old identity behind, right? And when I say it doesn't have to be like a huge change in terms of identity, it's just a shift in timeline, right? Because it puts you on a different path.
On a different
So I think part of
trajectory.
the doubt is about, okay, like your brain, because your brain, what it knows, it's safety. Your brain loves to be safe, and anything that's unknown is so uncomfortable to the mind, right? And it's like the doubt itself is trying to keep you in this safetyness where you know what is happening, where you've navigated this journey, you're right here right now because you've lived it, and that's what you know, and that's what your brain knows. So the doubt is doubting their known, right? Even if it's like it's going to be like the best thing for you, it's unknown to the mind, and that's where doubt comes in. And I really don't think there's one single human that doesn't navigate doubt. People navigate doubt even if they don't talk about it. Even the most successful people, I feel like doubt is part of the process. And as long as you have a human mind and you live in this human experience, doubt is going to be part of the process.
It's a natural
and it's
part
just
of being
about
human.
the known and the known.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's not about like, okay, I'm making the wrong choice or I'm making the right one. It's just about like, I'm safe right here because I know this, because I've lived it. And there, I don't know what it's going to look like.
That's true. I think it's because it's destabilizing to the nervous system, and like you've said, it's you have to go out of your comfort zone, and doubt comes in. I think doubt comes in after you've already made the decision, not before. Because you only doubt once you've made a
once you've-
decision, once you've made the choice, because what you're doing now is looking behind and thinking, was that the right choice? And then what's going to happen in the future?
Right.
So you sort of like want to go back and rethink your choice. And at the same time, you're projecting onto the future and you want to control it. You want to know exactly what's going to happen. It's part of being controlling. It's almost like I need to know, and if I don't know, then I'm not sure if that was the right decision.
Right.
Yeah, so you can only you navigate doubt if you've already made a choice.
Right.
That's the one thing I've come to discover and to realize.
Yeah, so then I've never thought about it like that. And maybe like there's a different phrase from like the pre-decision making, because I can think of one example. Like I think it was 2020 where I had applied for a job and they hadn't offered me the position yet. But I kind of had an inkling that they were going to offer me the position. And part of me was just feeling like I didn't want to take that job. And so I was navigating this part of me, the brain part of me that tells me like, okay, you have to think about the practicals. You have to think about like the income, right? But there was a part of me that was telling me like, this is not what I want, right? So I don't know if I would call that doubt. Like, what would you call that? Because I felt like I was doubting a lot even though I hadn't been offered.
It's just internal conflict.
Internal conflict.
Because you're not sure whether it's this decision or that decision. So it's sort of like a back and forth. It's like an internal conflict happening in that, is this going to be right for me, or is it that's going to be right for me? Because in that moment you've not made the decision yet. You've not made the choice. So you're in conflict over what's the best choice and what's the decision right now in this moment.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so interesting. I've actually never thought of doubt. It makes sense that you're doubting what you chose. You're doubting like where you are and like whatever place you are, right? I had never thought of it as like a post decision making.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting. Like I think it's the first time that I'm thinking of that. So and I think like doubt and fear go hand in hand, and like sometimes you can just use fear in the name of doubt, right? Because the fear, like what you like right now, even though it's like you're doubting your choice, it's the fear of the unknown, right? And that's where you're like, okay, like did I make the right choice, right? And you're starting to doubt something that when you were making the decision, you were thinking like, okay, I think this is right for me, right? But now the fear of the unknown is showing up, and making you question. Like your mind is trying to trick you. Because the mind, like, we talked about, likes to know safety, likes to be safe. And now it's trying to be like, okay, I don't think that's that place where we're going. I don't think it's safe for us, right? I don't think it's safe for us. And so therefore, you're finding yourself in this place of like questioning.
Yeah. And I think maybe not, you just saying that makes me realize it's actually, it shows growth.
Right.
Because whenever you're expanding out of your comfort zone, you're growing. And your mind is saying, no, you can't go into that territory. You need to stay here, like where you are. And so I think part of that experiencing doubt, experiencing the fear, it's just a natural factor of growth.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You cannot grow. You cannot grow if you don't confront your fears and you don't confront your doubt and actually just go anyway and act anyway and move anyway. You cannot, because the mind wants to keep you safe, right? Like for the mind, regardless of how better the opportunity is ahead of you, regardless of that, it doesn't care. It doesn't care. What it cares about is for you to remain safe, right? But that means that like if you just want to be safe, you would always play small. Even if like maybe the other timeline, you are living your light, you're just embodying like all the qualities that your new identity wants, right? The mind doesn't want that. So if you don't address the fears and work with your fears and work with your mind, you will keep playing small.
You'll keep repeating that same scenario. There's not going to be any growth. I think that's what you're saying, right? Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And then the other thing too that I think I would say is sometimes doubt means that you need to go internally and align with the choices and the decisions that you're making. It just means that there's more to be explored, because there's also situations where you've made a decision and you've made a choice and you know 100% with certainty that this is it. Like there's no looking back, there's no doubt, there's no regret, there's no. So for me, I'm also looking at doubt in terms of it may be the right choice, it may be the right decision, but then there's also stuff internally that I need to work on, that I need to align on, so that I move forward and not leave like a fragment of myself behind.
Yeah.
And so like a part of my energy is in the new choice,
Right.
but then part of my energy is in the old. So I'm not bringing my whole self into the new. So it's also important like to take the time when the doubt is happening to go internally and think of, why is this doubt happening? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I questioning this decision? What's happening here?
Yeah, that's a very interesting way to put it, because it speaks to, because you're shifting into a new timeline, right? So that doubt that leads you inward, it's also means that you have to shed some of the things that you have to shed in this timeline, so that you can move to the new timeline
as your whole self,
yes,
not fragmented.
Exactly. And the way that it shows up, it's the internal conflict of like questioning the new timeline.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting way. I had never
is.
thought of it like that, but I think it definitely speaks to like that internal conflict, because it's internal, right?
Yeah, it is internal. And then the other interesting thing that I've come across like during this season and during this period is I was reading a book, and it was channeled information, and part of it was you don't have to make any big decisions. So you never have to be in a situation where, do I leave my marriage or do I stay? Do I leave this job or do I do this or do I do that? And it was like, when the time is right, it's going to be choiceless. Choiceless being that either you're going to be terminated, or your position is going to be made redundant, or your partner comes home and says like, I really love you, but I don't want to be married to you anymore. So then it's choiceless. So you don't have to make the big decisions. You just have to set the intention that the best thing, the highest and best thing happens for you. I mean, there is times when we're being tested in terms of, can you actually make the choice to leave something behind? But then they were saying most times, you don't have to make any big decisions. Everything should be choiceless, because the next stage should be the next perfect step to take. And you don't feel like, I've made this big decision, I've made this big choice, I've made this big. If you're in flow and you're allowing for your life to happen, it's just naturally going to be the next step. If you've been fired and you need to go to the next job, it's the next perfect step. If you've been wanting a new position, or there's certain things that you've been looking for, whether it's more time, whether it's this, and that offers you that, and this doesn't, it's the next perfect step. So you don't have to continuously make really big decisions that leave you feeling like, oh, was that right? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Because then what happens is, you sort of like remain fragmented, and you're not bringing your full energy into the next chapter. But when you've reached the end of something and that's it, then you have no choice but to step into the next period. I don't know what you think about that. Of course, it doesn't mean that it's right. It's something that I read somewhere. But I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Interesting. Really interesting. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
But then I was also thinking of it in terms of, what does it mean then for people who really cannot make a choice and cannot make a decision for themselves? Because then if you're sitting in something that you don't like, or something that you don't want, and you're waiting for the next perfect step to reveal itself, like, this job is so toxic for me, but I'm waiting to be fired, or I'm waiting to be made redundant, and so you're not actively making that choice. So what's the balance between making the jump and making the choice, and waiting for the choice or the decision to be choiceless?
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Honestly, I just feel like I feel like the decision making and the doubt, like the trust has to be brought in. Like, you have to introduce the element of trust. And I think part of the reason why we doubt so much and we're afraid so much about the unknown is sometimes if you don't have trust in yourself, in terms of like, I trust that I'm taken care of, that I'm protected, that I'm going to be fine regardless of what happens. Because there's a lot of us that are afraid of failure. Like who isn't afraid of failure, right?
Well,
Because
show me.
if you didn't think that you're going to fail or something bad is going to happen, right, you wouldn't have the doubt, you wouldn't be afraid, you would naturally take the step, you would not naturally just shift into that timeline. But it's that fear of like, what is going to happen to me, even though you don't know, it might be the best thing ever. Right? But because you don't know and you don't have that trust of you being able to be okay, right, even though like you're going to be okay, most of the time you're just afraid of the fact that you might not be okay, and I think that's what brings the doubt in and makes you question and makes you have so much fear and anxiety about like what is to come.
No, I 100% agree with you. But maybe the other thing that I'm learning is once you've made a decision, like you've made the decision, just go forth, do what you need to do, because you can only learn the lesson, you can only learn whether it was right for you or not right for you once you start walking the path.
Right.
And the other thing too, we're not always bound to the choices and the decisions that we make in the moment.
Absolutely.
We can always make new choices. We can always make better choices.
Absolutely.
So the big thing is once you've made that choice, that decision, then start walking the path.
Absolutely.
It's a new canvas for you. And if you don't like it, go back to the drawing board.
Absolutely.
And start again.
Absolutely. I agree, because unless you're actively choosing something that you know that it's going to harm you, right? Like if you know this is going to harm me, right? Unless it's that situation, regardless of the choice you make, like if you're presented with two choices, regardless of that choice, whatever choice you make, you're going to be okay. Unless you are like, I know that this is going to hurt me.
It's not good for me.
I know it's going to break my neck, and I know it's going to break my leg.
And you're still choosing it.
Exactly. It's only that if you know like somebody's abusive, for example, like you clearly know and they've shown you signs and you've chosen to go that direction, then like we can't argue with you, right? In that case, then you know that
you're
like
choosing
you're
you're
choosing to go against your intuition and what you know to be true, what you know to be harmful to you. But like if it's two choices that they both kind of seem valid, whatever choice you choose, you're going to be okay. Right? And it's the self-trust that you have to bring in and build within yourself that you're going to be okay regardless is what determines how you move forward. And like you said, you choose a timeline, you stick with it. You go forward with it, and then whatever comes in, whatever you're presented with, then that's what determines, right, how you move forward. And I think it reminds me of that quote by Rumi. Do you know that quote by Rumi?
No,
I think it's a pretty famous quote that says that clarity doesn't come before the step. Clarity only comes after you take the first step. And I think that's where like
exactly what we've been saying. Like,
and I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, because you want the clarity before. But like, how are you gonna know that this is the right job for you, right? Because sometimes the job description is so beautiful, right? It's so like you're like, oh my god, this is amazing for me, this is perfect for me,
but
I
you
can
don't
see
know what
myself.
it's really like until you're in there,
you don't
in
know
the role.
exactly. You have to take the role, get into it and be like, absolutely not, this is not what I want, right? You have to take the first step in order for you to get some clarity, and in order for you to know, okay, this is not aligned with me, I need something else that like
and then you make
aligns
a new
with me.
and different choice.
Like how many choices, how many things have I done in my past where like I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I need, right? I've been in positions where I felt like, okay, I hate this job, and maybe I need to get like more education and then maybe get a better position in order for me to see myself where I want to see myself. And then I get there and I'm like, I thought this is not what I thought it was, right? But you can't have clarity before the step. You have to take the step.
No, I 100% agree with you. And then the other thing too is you can either allow doubt to be a bridge in terms of allow it to guide you into the next step for you or what really works for you, or you can allow it to paralyze you.
Absolutely.
And so you remain in the, I don't know, and you're ruminating and you're looking at the past, and so you're constantly gazing over the rear view mirror and really missing what's right in front of you.
because you want clarity. You want
Yes.
like somebody to be like, oh hey, here's like a
This
glimpse.
is exactly it.
Here's a glimpse
This
of
is
like
it.
what it looks like.
Exactly.
You can't have the glimpse without taking
and
the
it's
step.
about, I think, having faith, faith in life itself, trust in yourself, like you've also said, and just realizing that what, let's just go for this, and
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, we can go back to the drawing board. Yeah.
The mind doesn't love that, right? Like you said in the beginning, the mind, it's about control.
Safety.
It's
You want
about safety and
safety.
control. So you want to control, you want to project into the future and be like, okay, I want to control how it turns out, right? And if I'm not able to control, I'm not comfortable with that.
Absolutely.
Right? And that is why I want a glimpse of the clarity,
Yeah,
so that I
yeah.
know like what I'm stepping into.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're trying to
That's
bring
true.
the safety that you have in this timeline into
the next.
that other timeline, because
Absolutely.
that's what will make the mind comfortable.
Feels comfortable, but then you see, if you bring that safety with you, you've really not expanded.
You'll
have
be
you?
the
You've
old version of
remained-
you.
Yeah,
You're
you've
still like
remained
in the old
same.
timeline.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, maybe that I'm learning as well, is to realize, like, is the doubt internal or is the doubt external? Big difference. Internal meaning, is it coming from within me, or is it being determined by external
Reflected.
factors, by the people around me? So if, for example, you have a partner and your partner says, well, I don't know if that's the right choice, or your
Right.
friends are like,
Right.
oh, we're not really sure, are
Right.
you sure you're, or it's like the fear of what will people say, or da 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 da, and all of these things. And so what we need to look at is the doubt coming from me questioning this choice, or have I made the right decision? Is it aligned with me, or is it coming from, am I making this decision for more external factors that are not aligned with me? And so I think it's really important, like when you're making choices and when you're faced with doubt, you need to sort of like sort it out and determine, is this really from me, or is it coming from outside
Absolutely.
of me?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because then you then learn how to make decisions that are aligned with you internally. And when you have alignment, any choice that you make is the right choice.
Is the right choice.
Even when it's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I think what we tend to do is go out and ask people like, okay, do you think this is right for me?
Exactly.
But like no single person can tell you that. And that
What's
is
right
one thing
for
that
you.
I've learned in the last like 3 years, because I've been in places where like I'm trying to choose the right job, and I'm asking my friends like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me think through this? Is this the right for me? And I've had friends that have come to me to
Yeah.
kind of advise them
Yeah.
on that. But I find that like it's more of an internal process, because as long as you're okay with it yourself within, like you go and address that conflict, that doubt, you are like, okay, what is this doubt afraid of? What is it telling me? Because you have to engage the fear and doubt and be like, okay, you're afraid of me failing. Is that what you're telling me? Like, is that what you're scared of? Because you're trying to protect me, because it's there for a reason,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
it's trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
Like it's not harmful.
No.
It's trying to keep you safe, even though it's keeping you small.
Yeah.
Once you understand what it's trying to do and you address that and you're like, okay, I see that it's trying to keep me safe, right? But I have grown as a person. I've expanded. I can shift into the new
Yeah.
timeline. I'm comfortable with the unknown. I'm comfortable not knowing everything, right? Once you're okay with that, even if your partner, even if your friends thinks like, oh, I don't think that is right for you, you're
It
not gonna
doesn't
care.
matter.
It's not gonna matter at all, because you've already addressed. The only
Internally.
time it matters is if you haven't addressed that.
Internally.
Because other people, when maybe somebody says to you, hey, like I really don't sure, I'm not sure if that is the right thing for you. If it affects you, if it touches something within you,
Then
it's
you
because
haven't
you
truly-
haven't addressed that doubt. It's
Absolutely.
because you still have doubt within you.
Yeah,
Right?
And then the other thing too, I think I love what you've mentioned about like going internally, because you know what we always say, as within, so
It's so
without.
without. Absolutely.
And so if you're aligned internally, automatically your external reality, it's going to align.
Absolutely.
If there's conflict and doubt within you, chances are high that it's going to reflect.
Somebody's gonna say, like, even if it's not everyone, one person
is going to reflect that back to you. Yeah.
So you really have to go. It's a really internal process. Yes, it's both internal and external, but I would say it's primarily internal. The external is only reflecting what is within.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So it's like whatever choice, because you are the sole creator of your reality, right? Other people are just reflecting you. Yeah. So it has to be you, right? There's some decisions you have to make with your partner, like things that that involve other people, right? We're not talking about those things. We're talking about like decisions that you're trying to make yourself, right? Those don't involve other people. Like they can involve other people to kind of like maybe listen to their perspectives. Maybe their perspectives can help you understand like, okay, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. I think, because sometimes you want to hear other people's perspective to feel like, okay, I've heard other people's perspectives and I think it's not that. It's what I think. It's what I'm believing. But the other thing is that I feel like other people's perspectives can add noise to what's already, like, if you have so much doubt within, you're trying to figure out, okay, is this the right thing, whatever, and your mind is trying to convince you because it's trying to keep you here.
It creates more clutter.
Other people adding they add noise to the decision making process.
Because then it's no longer your choice, it's no longer your decision. And remember, we're very much affected by our external reality, even with like marketing, right? It's sort of like what we see more of, we start to think that to be true. So if I'm with someone, like say for example I'm with you, Bamzi, and you're telling me it's not right, and then I have 2 or 3 more people telling me it's not right, even if within me I know and I feel that it's right, eventually I'm going to start thinking it's not right. And so that's why I'm also not a big fan. I go and seek perspective, but at the end of the day, I usually know that whatever advice, whatever perspective is going to be given from their experience.
Absolutely.
What they're going through, whatever it is for them, and then now that becomes a part of you as well. So you're not as clear when making that choice or that decision, because then you have other people's opinions all around what you're trying to decide. And so I agree with you, it adds a lot of noise and a lot of clutter, which is unnecessary when you're trying to make that choice or decision.
I used to be the person that goes external, honestly. Like I used to be like, okay, I need people to tell me. It's like I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust like what
at some point.
At some point.
I think actually in most things we usually are. Even when you've already made it, even when we still want like some external validation. Like, is it? So it's not just you. I think it's part of being human.
Yeah, but it's a spectrum. There's some people where you can be on a spectrum where you're trying to have other people help you make the decision, right? When you're in that process of using other people, not even using, like having other people help you make that decision, it's because you really don't have
trust in yourself.
Right? So you have to examine and ask yourself, like, do I trust myself? Because if I trusted myself, then I would trust that what is my internal telling me is what is true for me, and regardless of the decisions that I make, that I'm going to be okay.
The funny thing is that what I've come to realize with myself is that I'm the type of person who, like, I know the decision that I want to make and I know what I want to do. So I'll go through the whole process, do it, make the choice, make the decision. It's only after I've made it that the conflict comes in. Was it the right? Was it? And so I go the back and forth. And then in hindsight is when I look back.
And I think it is there for a reason. I think it is there for a reason, because like every single, like we said earlier, every single conflict is not punishing you. It's not wanting to even make you question it. It's rather trying to make you build more self-trust within you. It's trying to bring you, it's an invitation to go within and make sure that you are aligned with the new timeline. But like it's what we said earlier.
But you see, the funny thing is, and because I've noticed myself going through this process a few times, the thing is, usually I've already made the decision.
Right.
I've already.
It's like you can't go back. I mean, unless
you
there's some things you can't go back on.
There's some things you can't.
Like what if you get pregnant and you have a child child.
Oh,
Like that's
true.
not
You
something
can't
you
go
can
back,
go back
on.
on.
Yeah, but then I found myself like in those times, in those situations, I always like I'm so clear. I know this is what I want. This is what I'm doing. It's only after the event, after the fact, after the that I start to think, oh, was that the? But then once I'm in the other actively like on the other path, it somehow seems to just melt and disappear. But then there's that little period in between where I'm like, oh my God, I don't know, was that? But you see, it's pointless because I've already made the decision anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
then
I tend to not bring people into that decision as well because when I'm deciding, and I take a long time, like when I'm deciding, I know like this is what I want, this is what I'm doing, I make it. It's only now after the fact that I'm going to people like, do you think I've done the right thing? Do you think
you
I've
want
done-"
validation.
Yeah, but I've already made the decision anyway. So, and in most cases, it's like I can't go back and I can't change it. So maybe it is choiceless at that point.
Yeah,
anyway.
because it's like what you're looking for is validation of, okay, did I make the right decision? And you want people to tell you like, hey, you did make the right decision.
Yes.
Because if somebody told you like, oh no, I think you made the wrong decision, I think it's going to like, and if that like kind of triggers you, it means that you still have some doubt within you.
True,
because otherwise like it
true.
wouldn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So the only reason you're seeking validation is maybe because there's still a part of you
That's
that's still doubtful about this, and you
I
just want
agree.
somebody to be like, no,
It is.
you made the right decision,
Yeah.
right? That's the
Yeah.
only reason. Otherwise, you wouldn't seek validation.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. The one thing that I can say though is every time I'm at this juncture, I found it to be a very humbling process.
Okay.
Humbling in that it lets me know that we don't know everything. We really don't know everything.
Yeah, and we're not supposed to.
We're not supposed to, but then it's kind of, it's very humbling. It makes you, there's some humility that comes with going through this process, because sometimes you can be like, I know this, I know that, and we want to know, and we want to control, and we want to, and it teaches you that life is simply just unfolding, and you just need to trust. And you can only have perspective when looking in
back.
hindsight and looking back. You just need to walk on the path and embrace and tackle whatever comes. And sometimes that's the fun of it, because it's the journey that counts. It's
the
not
journey that
really the
counts.
destination.
Right, yeah.
It's what lessons do you learn? What kind of person do you become as you walk through that journey, as you walk through that path? Even if you've made like the wrong choice or the wrong decision, it's not about making the wrong decision itself. Is there something that you've learned? Is there a lesson?
Right.
And probably once you integrate that lesson and then you make the right choice, you would have taken a quantum leap much farther than if you would have made the correct choice and the correct decision in the first place. And that's, I think, the biggest lesson for me.
Yeah, because it makes me think that, like you said, there's no destination. Like the journey is the destination. Where you are at is the destination. So if you choose like a certain path, you're going to learn the lessons you're meant to learn, even if you took like a different path, right? Yeah. Maybe like this path has people that trigger you like in the deepest way than like you would have had like in the whatever. But I think like whatever path you choose, like the free choice, like the free will is about like being like, okay, I'm choosing this versus this. Yeah. But in terms of the lessons that you're meant to learn in this lifetime, you're going to learn them like regardless. Maybe one path, like you said, might take you longer to learn those lessons. Painful. It might be more painful, but you're going to learn the lessons that you're meant to learn. Yeah. So I think like, yes, like when you learn to see it as that, as like, okay, whatever choice I make is about how I move through the journey, right? How I react, how I show up, right? And the trust that I have within myself, then I think then that will take you out of the analysis paralysis of like, is this the right thing? I mean, like, yes, there are certain things that you want to get right. Like, for example, like, where do I invest my money? Like, what person do I marry, right? Like we said earlier,
oh my goodness,
like if it's something harmful, then like that is a different story. But if it's something, two things seem valid, right? Or if you're presented with a path, and it's that path versus your old timeline, then you know that this is I feel like some things are more driven with fear than others, right? So if there's like an opportunity in front of you, and like there's a part of you, there's a larger part of you that feels like, okay, I feel like this is gonna expand me. I feel like this is gonna bring good things, right? I feel like it's gonna just create more opportunities for me, or it's gonna be good for me overall, right? If you feel like something is right for you, I think like we said, the clarity doesn't come before the step. You really have to take the step, right? And if the part of you that told you like, okay, this is the right thing for me, I feel like there's some good in this, you have to trust that part of you.
Yeah,
right? Like if you
absolutely.
don't trust that part of you, then that's when you be small. You want to be safe, right?
Yeah.
If there's a part of you that feels right about something, even if you get to that point and you feel like, oh my God, like I don't know what I was thinking, right? I would see that as information. When you get to that point and you feel like, oh my God, that was the absolutely wrong thing that I did.
Yeah.
It's information about alignment. Like it's gonna tell you, okay, I don't think this is aligned with me. I don't think this is the direction I want to head. Therefore, like, what can I do, right, from where I'm at,
To shift
right?
course, yeah.
To shift course, right? Because, and I see this in especially jobs, and I think like this shows up with jobs because a lot of people, because their identity is tied to a job, sometimes it's like they're not satisfied with where they are, which is super valid. Like you don't like your job, it's toxic, like there's something wrong about the job, and you see another job,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, okay, like I feel like that's gonna be better for me. But they get there and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is not, I thought it was gonna be good, but it's
either
not
the same or worse.
it's the
Or-
same or worse, right? But even if it's the same or worse, a lesson is gonna come, or more information that tells you like, okay, I really don't think this path, this career path
Is
what
aligned with
with
me.
me, right?
Yeah.
Then you start to evaluate and start to question like, okay, like maybe it's not the job, maybe it's the career path that I'm in, maybe my soul wants to do something else, right? So even if it's worse, quote unquote worse, it's more information about what truly aligns with you, right? I think like if you learn to see it as that, then I think there'll be less analysis paralysis during like the decision making process. Yeah.
I agree.
Doubt is one of those topics that I know so many people are going to relate with, because I know that every single person deals with doubt, whether you're making a decision about a job or you're trying to date somebody, like you're going to doubt, right? So if this resonated with you, we would love to hear from you. If you're watching us on YouTube, comment below. If you're listening to Spotify or you're listening to Apple Podcasts, please rate us, give us your feedback. If you want us to expand more on this topic, or you want us to talk about a specific thing, we would love to hear your feedback. We would love to expand, because these are conversations that we love having. So we would love to engage with you. You can get in touch with us through our personal socials, which are down in the description below on YouTube. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, we also have the socials in the description as well. You can also email us. We have so many avenues where you can get in touch with us and give us your feedback of what you want us to talk about. We would love to hear from you and engage with you.
Until next time.
It's been real.
Yeah.
Love and
Bye.
light.